everyone, to another episode of the Urban Indigo Podcast. I'm your host, Diana Min.
And I am Gabriel de la Puente.
And we are so excited to be back. As you know, I'm Diana Min, the Urban Indigo. I'm an empowerment coach and a spiritual mentor. And Gabriel here is a self-development junkie and a motivator.
There you go.
And an inspiration to many.
I like that.
Thank you guys so much for being back for another episode. We've been getting so much good feedback and really, really good insights. And I'm glad that the work that we're doing and the conversations that we're having are really making an impact on all of you. And as a reminder, if you'd like to go deeper with this work with me in my world, I have the Inner Child Healing Program starting November 3rd, where we'll really get to go deep into our inner child wounds, things that we've been programmed to believe about ourselves from beyond our even consciousness, right? Because our subconscious is so deeply programmed from the time we were born to the age of 7. And so this work, a lot of the shadow work really involves really getting deep into those places that we can't see, right? Those are our blind spots. And a lot of the conversations that me and Gabriel have here is as a result of us doing shadow work on ourselves, right? Us really going into those places that you can't really be aware of or conscious of without having to introspectively looking at yourself. So I'm excited to be offering that program. It's so powerful and meaningful for me to be able to give that gift to other people, because I know how it's transformed my life to really do that type of work and to really be the decider of what I want to believe about myself and not have to accept what I've been given to believe about myself, right? And if you're looking for an even more immersive, more transformational, like all inclusive experience, that is going to be the Sacred Awakening Retreat. That happens January 12th to the 16th. I'll be releasing more information about that in the upcoming weeks, but that is a very intimate, in-person live event that we have. I have it usually biannually. This time we're going to have it in January. So it's really like the beginning of the year when you really start to set your goals and set your intentions of who you intend to be into the next coming months and years of your life. And so it's such a transformative and powerful time, really. So
the timing of it is perfect. At the beginning of the year, you start your year right.
Yeah. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that when I do this event, it's not only life-changing, but it really is a soul calling for the people that decide to come, right? It really is like, you've got to feel a full body yes for it. Like it is whenever I have it, and whenever you ever end up coming to one, you'll really see like every single person that is meant to be there is there, you know? And it's just like, you can feel the alignment of it, right? And so for me, like me being the person that opens up this sacred space, I'm just really like a cog in the machine, right? Like the spirit is working through me. The universe is working through me. I open up this space. You guys feel called to come. You feel the yes in your spirit to come, and we come and we have this like portal of just like like soul transformational, like intense, deep work. Tons of healing modalities that are involved in there. Sacred plant medicine, of course. There's a shamanic body worker, there's a Reiki master, there's a emotional release massage therapist. It's catered. It's at this beautiful mansion on the beach. We have a breathwork facilitator come in, and we have yoga, we have sound healing, we have cacao ceremony. I mean, like it is just like all the medicines of the healing space that have been super impactful for my life, all like just jam-packed into like place, and into like a 4-day weekend where you really get to like dive deep into the work. So I'm really passionate about this. I don't know if you can tell. I love it. I love what
hear it. We can feel it.
I love what I do. So just you guys know where to find me on Instagram at the Urban Indigo. Send me a DM. There's links there where you guys can sign up. You can apply. You can find more information. There's tons of recaps of past events, past retreats, where you can kind of see like what the vibe is. So if you're interested in that, don't hesitate. And yeah, so that's enough of me. Gabriel's here too. But yeah, how has your week been, my love? I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, my week has been really good, actually. I have been off I haven't been working at my regular job.
Okay.
I just took a week off just to like recenter, just to really learn, to meditate, just to spend time with myself and the people that I love. So it has been wonderful. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. What about yours?
I mean, I just want to comment on that really quick
Okay.
because, like, how many people take time off just to be with themselves? Like,
Good point.
like, let's just acknowledge that for a second, right?
Yeah.
Because like most people are like, oh man, I'm gonna take time off. I'm going on spring break. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Yeah.
go drink. I'm gonna go party. I'm gonna go escape from myself, essentially.
Right.
But you're like, I'm taking time off to be with myself.
Just to dive in actually within
Yeah.
myself, to like really like just explore, discover, and unfold, and just create new things truly.
Yeah. That is a true self-development junkie, guys. Like, that is a true person that is doing this work for real, because I mean, it's like a little staycation, right? Because you're
Right.
home, but you're really just like allowing yourself to immerse yourself in the things that are going to help you grow and expand.
100%.
So you took like a self-development vacation.
basically it's like a 2 week self-development vacation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I suggest that all jobs have this for their employees.
Right.
Why not? You know what? When I start to have full-time employees, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that they have at least like 2 weeks of a self-development vacation, whether I send them to a Tony Robbins retreat or I send them to a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat. Like, you got to work on yourself if you want to keep working for me.
No, it's amazing. Yeah.
You're so
I'm very
inspirational.
intentional about that, because I feel like in the past I've always let my vacation time go because I didn't technically have like a destination to go to or like a location. And this year I was like, I am the destination.
Ooh.
You know, this year is like, I want to go ahead and because usually as we go through life, you know, I always like hear books that I want to read, you know, or like podcasts that I really want to dive in, or I want to take
You
notes.
mean like the
I
Urban
wanna-
Indigo podcast?
I know, that's my favorite one. So I just wanted to give myself some time and space to spend time with quality people.
Yeah.
And also just like dive in, journal a ton, to meditate a lot, just like spend time with myself. Yeah.
Yeah. How's that been going?
It's been going really well.
Yeah.
Like really, really good. I try new forms of meditation. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts. I've been journaling a ton. It's funny because I started also like reframing past memories that are randomly coming up.
Give us an example of one.
So, well, so one of them, I guess, like the theme fear has been coming up a lot. That I have a lot of like stored fear. So literally, one of the exercises that I've learned how to do is just to like write down what I'm feeling fearful about. Sometimes about my future, you know, like I'm not gonna accomplish my dreams. I'm not gonna get to, you know, do what I really want to do.
Okay.
So I just like write it down and then I reframe it right under it. Like as the minute that feeling comes up, I literally grab a notepad, write it down, get out of the system, and then like reframe it, and then like basically just transform that from negative to positive.
Ooh.
And then it like almost like disappears, the feeling, and then I'm like, oh, actually no, that's like an irrational thought that I had. That's my brain trying to keep me safe, right?
Yeah.
That's not reality. That's not what I'm up to. That's not what I'm doing. So thank you, but no thank you.
Wow. So what that actually, I mean, that's very advanced, to be honest. And what you're actually doing is creating a new neural pathway in your brain.
Right.
And so you're creating new sensations around that thought. And then through repetition, you're promoting that neural pathway, that more positive sensation to surround that belief, that thought, and then it becomes the dominant belief and thought.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if you think about running through a cornfield,
Okay.
right? So if you run through the cornfield once, no one will know that you ran through it.
Right.
But if you run through that cornfield and using the same pathway over and over and over and over again, you're going to create a trail in the cornfield, and it becomes very the path that is most likely that other people are going to take, right?
Right.
Because it's already, formatted into the ground.
Right.
Right. And so that's basically what our thoughts are like. And that's the law of repetition, right? The more that you repeat the same thought to yourself, you're creating that pathway in your brain. And then as you continue to walk that pathway and over and over and over again, and I tell my clients, like, I tell you to do a morning routine and people, they roll their eyes. They're like, affirmations. That's that's so juvenile. You know, that's so that's so beginner manifestation. I'm like, no, no, no. This is called repetition. This is called discipline. This is showing up every day and convincing yourself of something that you don't believe is true right now. Until all of a sudden one day you do believe it's true, and all of a sudden you embody the frequency of believing it's true, and all of a sudden one day it manifests because you've believed it was true.
Well, talking about affirmations, I actually discovered it's a series of affirmations on it's on iTunes.
Yeah.
I literally type in affirmations and it's like 50 minutes of it, and
Yeah.
then they go over like different genres. So they have one, like by Abraham Hicks. They have another one just by many people. Usually now at the gym when I'm working out, I listen to that, and I notice in the days that I don't listen to them, I do notice a little bit of a difference.
Okay.
And when I actually do listen to that, like first thing in the morning, I'm like, oh, like the way that my day starts, it starts very differently.
Yeah. Well, because the first 2 hours in the morning when you wake up, it's when your subconscious mind is most open. And so that's why the whole point of doing a morning routine or having positive affirmations in the morning is like you're imprinting into your subconscious mind the pathways that you want to be most activated, right? And so it's the time when your brain is most impressionable. Like only 5% of our mind is conscious, and the other 95% is unconscious, subconscious, right? So if we have an opening in the 2 hours when we first wake up to imprint something in there, it's like throw a lot of good stuff in there.
I mean, that's the time that I try to jam pack whatever I possibly can. I do my gratitude, I do my tapping.
Yeah.
It's the time to listen to affirmations, work out, whatever it is that it will redirect the day.
I mean, it shows, babe. It shows in your energy. It shows in your vibration. Like why I feel like you've been coming on this podcast with dropping gems and like just really inspiring people. Even me, you've inspired me to get back on my 5 a.m. shit. I've been on my 5 a.m. routine all week. It's been good job
because that's not easy to get it going at first.
I have been on fire because of it. So like, no, it's incredible. And that's why it's like, if you're waking up in the morning and you're hopping on your phone and you're hopping on Instagram or TikTok or the news, like, please understand, like, you are programming your subconscious mind to run on comparison of yourself to others, or being envious of other people's lives of their highlight reel on Instagram, or seeing things on TikTok that make you feel good about yourself, or seeing the news and living in fear, or seeing things about the recession and living in lack and scarcity. Like, you are literally programming your brain, your mind, your vibration, and your energy field, and then you're attracting from that place for the rest of the day. And then you wonder why your reality is reflecting back to you the things that you fear most. It's because that's what you're absorbing the most.
Right.
It's law of attraction. It's literally science, like I don't understand how people don't get this by now.
Yeah, well, especially people that suffer from a lot of anxiety, that are like a little bit more predisposed to dealing with that. Like, I try to limit my social media consumption I try not to look at it before 10 a.m. Like, sometimes I will do a story about my gratitude journaling just because that I do want to put that out there. Yeah. But I don't look at anyone's stories or like consume any of that. Just like put that out there and then bye.
Yeah. I mean, you guys already know from previous episodes, I don't look at anybody else's story but my own. So, but no, my old coach used to tell us, all of her students, she said, create more than you consume. Right. So if you're a content creator, great, amazing. You're putting out inspirational things. You're putting out things of value. Awesome. But then don't spend the other time that you're not creating on there just absorbing other things. I mean, sometimes I need to scroll because I kind of need to know what's trending, what's, audios, things to use for reels, or what's going on with Instagram that's changing literally every 5 minutes, But like, to be honest, like, I really love to create, and I'm going to put my creations out there, and then I'm going to go on about my day, because then I mean, it happens to me, right? Like, I look down and I look up, all of a sudden it's been an hour. An hour has gone by and I have scrolled on Instagram for an hour and I'm just like, I feel brain dead, you know?
No, it's
And I bought something that I didn't need, probably, right? Like a fucking...
Or you got sold into something.
Yeah, or like now I'm attending an event that I can't go to.
True.
I'm like, why did I buy that? I don't know. Peer pressure, social media
funny.
pressure.
Social media told me, yeah. Well, and also, like, not everyone is going to be a creator, right? Not everyone is in the same frequency, but like we get to choose what we're consuming as well from social media.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of the accounts that I follow and the videos that come up on my feed and that I like do listen to, they make me think and they challenge me.
Yes.
But the content is been very filtered. If there are things that I don't think are bringing any value into my life, that's something that I literally unfollow or mute or unsubscribe. But if it's something that is going to add value to my life and I'm like comment, because that's, you're literally telling the algorithm that that's what you want to be consuming at the time.
Right.
So we also have control, like for, people that are perhaps like not creators, but they're mostly like in there just consuming. You can choose to consume some really good life-changing stuff.
That's true. Like the Urban Indigo podcast or things
or inspiration.
Yeah, that the Urban Indigo or Gabriel DLP 777 posts. We have really inspirational content, guys, I promise. No, I totally agree, because I have friends that would call themselves content creators, but I'm also like, what is your content exactly?
Right.
Is it just your food? Like, what is it exactly? Like, what is the purpose here? You know what I mean? And sometimes, I mean, if it is food, make it really good. You know what I mean? But sometimes the only people I really like to see, it's like if my friends have kids and I actually do want to see their kids, because I'm like, that's something I like. You know, like I want to see that. You know, I want to see my
and
friends.
Puppies too. You see little puppies.
Yes, puppy yoga. Oh my God. I if you guys don't follow puppy yoga, man, that's like my version of heaven. You know what I mean? Yoga and puppies. Like, what else do we need in life? I'm so excited to attend that one day. Puppy yoga, please sponsor our podcast.
Right. Well, but even looking at like dogs or things like that the feelings that you have from that is just usually it's joy, it's happiness, it calms you down.
Yeah.
It really like relaxes your nervous system, so you can use that momentum to go and apply it to whatever other area of your life like you want to go apply it to. So that's good content to be consuming.
Like how I did magic the other day.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
So I did magic the other day, guys, but I'm going to do a very censored version of this magic. But basically, I was watching movies that were reflecting back to me the type of dynamic I wanted to see in my relationship. So I actually chose movies that would make me feel like between like, like the hero of the movie and like the woman in the movie and the hero's coming to save the woman. I was watching multiple movies like that because in my mind I'm like, yeah, like I really want to like see that relationship dynamic reflected back in my life. And let's just say it worked. It worked. So it's like so sometimes when people are like watching horror movies, right? Or people that watch like true crime, I'm like, bro, do you understand like what you're absorbing into your mind, into your subconscious right now? Like, and then you're like, people are like walking down the street and they're like, oh, this guy could be a killer or that. And I'm like, well, because you've been watching true crime for like a week straight, babe. Of course you're going to think that. And what's scary is that you might even attract that to you. And as your friend, I don't want you to die. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that to happen to you.
Or just even like, perhaps like if they don't attract that specific like scenario, right? You are still going to be attractive all of those negative and low frequency feelings and vibes into your life. Which what are they? It's just fear. It's pain. It's anything that's like very low. Anxiety and I don't want that shit in my life. Like I want to attract like happiness, joy, abundance, like good positive things that are going to actually like have babies of more abundance,
more joy, more happiness,
give it to other people, just to share it with the world. That's like what I want to be harvesting in my mind and in my heart,
I know. So I actually invited Gabriel.
I don't want that.
I invited Gabriel to go to a spooky theme park with me. And I was like, oh my God, it's super cool. Like they have roller coasters, but they also have people that are dressed up as like scary clowns with chainsaws, and they kind of like follow you around the park, and it's like super scary. And he was like, well, you enjoy that and let me know how it goes. I'm like, okay, true. Like, I guess like if you don't really want to be scared, then you don't want to do that. But it's Halloween. It's October.
Yeah.
It's a time to be a little spooky. But
I mean, everyone is different, right? Like, I personally have nightmares. Like, maybe, like, I get nightmares, or maybe, like, I don't know, like, just the way that I work, it just frightens me. And then I keep thinking about it, and then I leave it myself. And then, like, there's, like, a tiny little bit of a noise in the kitchen, and then I freak out.
Yeah.
So the payoff for me is not good.
Right.
I'm
No,
like,
I hear you.
but other people love it. Like, other people absolutely love it.
Yeah. I was
And they don't have the same like outcome that I do. They just forget about it. Yeah.
No, you're right. I watched something kind of disturbing the other day. I didn't think it was going to be disturbing, you know, but I realized like the power of, because I usually stay in high vibrations most of the time, and anything I'm intaking into my audio visual world, it's going to be either self-development, it's going to be inspirational, it's going to be motivational, it's going to be, you know, high vibes. And one day I just was like, I just need a break from the self-development. I'm just going to kind of hop on Netflix and watch something. And it was just more of like a documentary, but it was, if any of you guys have watched it, it's like the most hated man on the internet. Watch it, don't watch it, whatever. But it's like basically about this guy that had created the revenge porn website called Is Anybody Up? Or Is Anyone Up? And it wasn't actually gory, and it wasn't that like dark, but it was the idea of somebody being so sociopathic that they had no empathy. And that the idea of somebody having no empathy for me is actually pretty terrifying, because I'm a person that is literally run by my ability to empathize and to love and to be intuitively in tune with people's emotions, and then to like be tapped into a world where maybe like people are so cold and cut off and disconnected from that. Like that to me was disturbing.
Right.
And I saw the way that it like cycled in my brain like throughout the evening, and then as I'm trying to get to sleep, and then on my meditation when I woke up, and I was like, wow. Like,
so it stayed with you. It had a really big impact in your psychic. Yeah.
And that was the moment I was like, no more. I'm not doing that again, because I understand like it's our diet, right? It is literally like our mental diet. And it's kind of like when you eat food from a really bad place and you're paying for it for like a day and a half.
You get swollen, you get stomach cramps, you get like
diarrhea,
all kinds of things. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and people don't realize like that's a diet too, you know? And so the same way I'm very strict about my diet, I eat clean, I eat organic, you know, and I know I feel amazing. And then I go, let's say I go somewhere, I travel somewhere where that's not available to me, and I have to eat whatever's there, and how horrible I feel in my body. Like that's the same thing with what you're taking in mentally, what you're listening to. And, you know, like we talked about the last episode, who you surround yourself with, it's all the energy that you're taking in.
And the thing with that is like, because what I hear often is that people say like, oh, like that's not gonna, it's fine, that's just like neutral. That is not neutral. Like it's not like it's not gonna further you or keep you neutral. That actually brings you behind. Because for example, the example that you just gave about that movie, right? So now you spend a day trying to undo everything that you consume. So it's not like you were like, oh, like you turn off the TV and you wasted 2 hours. No, like you probably wasted like 48 hours trying to like undo and like process all of those images and like what it felt for you
to cleanse
to be able to kind of cleanse it and move on. And it's not fully gone because you just remember.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long ago you watched it.
Yeah.
So all of that, I mean, all of that input that is coming into our brain, especially if it's like has a lot of emotion, is if it's emotionally charged, that stays with you.
Yeah. No, definitely. And you know, I know this from when I go into ayahuasca ceremonies. Like there's times where there's like a mental purge that's happening, right? Like there was a time in my life years ago I used to really love like trash TV or some levels of like reality TV, and I would go into an ayahuasca ceremony and I would watch the show in reverse because she's throwing it out. She being Mother Ayahuasca is throwing it out of my brain, and so it's actually playing in reverse.
Oh wow.
Because it's like it's actually like she's like undoing it. Yeah, and I've had people come into ceremonies and they're like, yeah, all I could see in their ceremony was their phone scrolling. Because like mentally their brain is like trying to throw this garbage up. Yeah. And the energy of it too, you know? Yeah. So it is like mental purges are like a real thing, you know?
Agreed.
Yeah. And so there's been times where I've been like, you know, where I'm re-seeing the thing. Cause the way that my shaman had said it was like, it goes out the same way it came in.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like you have to, when you re-see the things that you took into your mental, into your emotional, into your energy, into your vibration, you're just like, ugh, why did I do that to myself? Right? And then we learn from that. We learn how it lowers our vibration. We learn how it makes us feel. And then from that place, we have to make better decisions. I feel like a lot of times when people are unaware, they're unconscious or they're numb, they're constantly living in that low vibration. They're just not even aware that it continues to keep them in that place. And then when someone like me and you come around and we're all high vibes, all of a sudden they're like, they think we're annoying. And we're just like,
you're so chipper. You're so happy
yeah, like,
all the
why
time.
Are you so happy all the time?
So good. I was like, there's good and bad. I'm just in a good mood.
Right. But
regardless,
I think there is like a part of society that like aims to keep people in that low vibration, because when you're in a low vibration, it's easier to control you, it's easier to get you to buy things, it's easier to market to you, it's easier to get you to stay and be a consumer. Right? It's easier for you to not pay attention to what's going on.
Truly, you're just like trying to survive and you're defaulting to whatever, you know, it's been given to you instead of actually having, you know, rational thoughts and like wondering if that's good or not for you.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's funny that you said that, because like when cannabis became legal here in California, I started doing a lot of edibles. And one time, like, I had almost like an out-of-body experience while I was like on edibles, but like I saw myself how I was acting and behaving on it, and I was like, oh, that's just gross. I just look like a crazy person wasting my life, you know? When it became like a habit, like, oh, okay, after work, like that's all I wanted to do because there was nothing else.
Because it's an escape.
I was like, yeah, this is not the route that we're going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. If people know me, I used to be an avid smoker. I mean, like chronic weed smoker, blunt after blunt, all day, every day. And at that point, when I was like unhealed on my journey, it was like a numbing, right? And then when I moved to California, like I took it to a whole nother level. I'm like, oh, it's legal here, and there's like tea, and there's honey, and there's, you know, cookies, Rice Krispie treats, pens, all these things, and there's like a huge gap of memory during that time, right? Yeah. And I think I was really just still in shock of like everything that I was going through. So it was like my only like crutch. And recently, I mean, doing work with ayahuasca, like it actually doesn't agree with ayahuasca marijuana. So the THC in the marijuana actually blocks the receptors in your brain that the DMT attaches to. So it'll actually block you from having the experience with ayahuasca, which is why when people are going to come into ceremony, I usually tell them to like stay off THC for about 30 days so that you can actually have like a full experience. And it was recently, actually this year in June, when I went into a ceremony, and I had been eating a lot of edibles. I was numbing from just like the breakup and everything I was going through. I went in and I could feel like the density in my energy field, and I could feel like ayahuasca was really trying to like cut through and get to me, and it was like gunk like in my energy field. Like it was just, and what they say about marijuana actually, so it eats your darkness. So what this means is like, let's say you're sad, right? And there's an emotion there, and there's a reason that emotion is there. And marijuana goes, it's okay. Just eat some chips. It's okay. You're good. It's okay. Just laugh. It eats it for you. It eats your darkness, but it doesn't take it away. It packs it away. So as we've talked earlier, right, about shadow work and what it is, we're taking out the shadows, the rocks, all the things that we packed away and all the things we didn't want to look at and all the things that we've been suppressing. Marijuana is an active suppressor of that. So it packs it away in your energy field and it pushes it down. It eats it for the time being, but it stays with you in your field.
The reason why I'm laughing is not laughing, but like this is just clicking for me such big time because I actually do know like a few people that are not really active in my life anymore, but before.
Yeah.
And they were avid smokers. And one of the things that I did notice years ago was that whenever they were in smoking, they were pretty angry and volatile. But if they were like a little high, they were like the sweetest, nicest, most chill people.
Yeah.
But if they didn't smoke, they were just like short and angry.
Wow.
So I mean, your description,
right.
I mean, it definitely fits what I have experienced.
Yeah.
And like totally, yeah.
So then you become dependent on it, right? Because now
they were totally dependent on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because now all this shadow, right? All this darkness, all these lower vibrations that are like, it's too much. We're trying to come to the surface. And every day you smoke to push it down. Every day you get high to push it down. And now when you're not high and they're trying to come to the surface and they're trying to get you to face it, you can't because it's too much. It's too overwhelming. You can't cope. And so the weed becomes like a chronic cycle like that. And so why THC and ayahuasca, it's like the antithesis of that is because what ayahuasca is the exact opposite. She actually brings your darkness to the light, right? So and why people are like, oh, it's so scary, like, you know, I don't know, I don't have to face like my demons or past trauma and things like that. But no, it's so beautiful because instead of hiding from it, instead of fearing it, instead of creating a monster out of it, we actually bring it to the light, and with love, with compassion, with awareness, we allow ourselves to transmute that, and it just like dissolves with the light, right? We actually purge it, we actually get rid of it, we actually release it, and then you're lighter from it, you know? And I felt the difference of me in the ceremony in this past June, where I was so dense and heavy in my previous marijuana use that I could barely connect with the medicine, and how it was hard for me to navigate, and I just didn't like that feeling. And that was the moment I was like, I'm done for real. Like, I'm done for real. And like, you know, at 33 to be like, I'm completely done smoking, and I haven't smoked anything in months and been just completely sober. And like, as you guys have been hearing on this episode, I've been going through a lot. And I was explaining to my friend that I was with last week, and I'm like, yeah, man, I've just been raw dogging life. I've just been dealing with life head on, no suppressing.
You feel it to heal it.
No crutches.
Everything.
No coping, nothing. I'm just like, I'm here, I'm present, I'm feeling it head on. You know, and it's I've been growing exponentially because of it. You know, I've been growing stronger because of it. My emotional muscles are toned right now. Like, I'm on it right now. Like, everything is coming in, boom, boom, integrating real time. And we're just like, whew, we see the fruits of that, you know? So it's like, I was saying this on my live earlier. It's like, will you allow yourself to grow emotional muscles?
Right.
To really experience life, right? Because all that we have been taught is fear and avoidance and suppression and just a running away, a numbing, right? Don't go over there, it's scary. Don't do that, it's scary, you know, to avoid. But in reality, you know, like working out, we need to have micro tears in the muscles for it to grow. We need to stretch the muscles in order for it to be stronger. We need to have friction.
Well, and it's very human to feel all of your emotions. Like, humans were not designed just to be sad or happy or afraid. Like, it's a freaking rainbow of emotions, you know? And like, and the beautiful thing about being alive is having the capacity to be able to feel every single one of them.
And it's not always fucking rainbow and lollipops.
It
you
is
know?
not, you know.
It is a
and
painful experience.
And that's why a lot of people don't want to do the work because it is
It's too
very
scary.
painful and it is scary and it transforms you. So whenever you're facing all of those things that you don't want to face, inevitably it's going to change you. You know, you get to choose what kind of change you want right after you face that. You change for the better, you like overcome it and outgrow it, or you go backwards and try to hide and like try to like, you know, put walls and like and avoid it 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it's human.
It is, babe. But to be honest, I was just on a on a call with a client earlier today, and I basically had to tell her, I'm like, you are addicted to your suffering. You're addicted to your suffering, and you will not allow yourself to be sad for just the moment. Like, you're trying to escape every single moment you're sad. And I'm like, just be sad. Just be sad. You know? But it's like she has to call me, and then she has to call her friends, and she's just like this like almost kind of like
Yeah.
it's like it's a compulsion for people to feel sorry for you, right? But it's also a way to escape you having to deal with it. Right? Because you're throwing it on other people to try to get to them to help you. But like I told her, I'm like, you need to help yourself before anyone can come in to help you. I can give you all the coaching, all the tools, all the things, but until you actually apply it, it's not gonna work, you know? And I had to tell her, I'm like, the reason you don't want to do it because subconsciously you are addicted to being the victim, you are addicted to suffering, and because when you're the victim, you get sympathy.
Yes.
And that's the kind of care that you're used to getting. But when you step in to try and be your own hero, that's scary for people, right? Like, so if I'm having a bad day, right? If I'm trying to support myself, I have to step into another version of myself. I have to step into an empowered version of myself to be like, Diana, we're going to be okay. I know you feel like shit right now, but we got this, right? A lot of times people were never given that type of example or that model of how to lead yourself.
Right.
And I think that's part of like a big part of the work that I teach. It's like, feel your feelings, comfort yourself, and then lead yourself in a new direction.
Inner child healing.
Inner child healing, shadow work, baby.
Yeah,
The program starts November 3rd.
Yeah. I've had to do that. I'm getting more comfortable doing that actually. I think I show you the picture that I have of me as a kid in my bathroom. And sometimes whenever I catch myself talking to me poorly, like if I left something in the kitchen or disorganized, like, oh, you're so dirty, you know, and like all of those thoughts come into my mind. And then before they will just pass by and I was like, oh, you know, but like now I catch them, you know, especially being by myself and like having the time to actually listen to what I'm feeling. And then I talk to the kid. I was like, hey, like, no, you're not dirty. You just left a dish or whatever like on the sink on your counter, like you're fine, you can go clean it up right now and your kitchen is going to be impeccable in like 2 seconds. But just catching that and reframing it, so going from being almost like being like your own abuser in a way, right? Like so used to those voices to like catching them and like just nurturing yourself.
Yeah. I realize some of my clients that are used to abuse, then when they abuse themselves, I realize they only respond to me when I start abusing them as well. Like when I'm trying to be like a really nice coach and I'm like, no, don't say that to yourself. Be kind. And that doesn't register until I'm like, yo, if you don't stop doing this to yourself, I am no like for me, I have to really take that role of being like, I will not stand by and watch you do this to yourself. If you choose to continue to do this to yourself, I cannot be involved anymore.
Right.
Like I have to like there's a way to do tough love, right? And there's a way to do it for yourself too, right? Because there are moments, of course, where we're always going to find ourselves wallowing, or we're going to find ourselves dwelling, or we're going to find ourselves, you know, not being empowered.
Right.
But then from that place, where do you go, right? Where do you do? You have to really find there's always been like an inner voice within me that I could always hear, even when I was getting abused as a child and I was locked in like dark corners or closets, and there was always this inner voice that said, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve this. And I would be in my mind or my body, be terrified wherever I was. And I was like, I don't deserve this. Right. And there'd be so many moments where I was suffering, even in my adult life, where that voice was always like, you don't deserve this. And I feel like that fighting spirit has always is really what's kept me alive, right? So many times I could have gave up. So many times I could have just been like, you know what? Sink me into the underworld. I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, but I never stopped fighting because there was always this little piece of me that believed to my core that I didn't deserve what I was going through, right? And always fighting to find better for myself. And I think it really comes down to why self-love is so important. And, you know, I love that self-love sometimes, like, it's like a bubble bath, no, or getting a manicure. Like, self-love is truly loving yourself enough to show up for yourself and do the hard shit and put in the fucking work and carry the weight of your stuff, you know, your emotional weight.
And sometimes I feel like people have such a low view of themselves and their self-worth that I have told many people, I was like, you have to go ahead and literally write down a list. So I do daily gratitude, 25 things that I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
I was like, I think you should do a 25 things that you like about yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not even able to find 3 things,
God,
you know,
I've
that
been
they
there.
like or love. But I feel like just even starting that process, right? To actually, okay, what do I have? What's good about me? You know, what value do I bring? What can I share with others? How do I show up for other people? And just putting yourself into like mind frame, like it starts shifting the reality.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing what you shared earlier about your client that she's only sharing bad things or that she's so comfortable, right? In
a lot of us are addicted to our suffering.
I feel like a lot of people that I talk to as well are just, you can't really snap them out. You know, that's something that they have to do for themselves, that we have to do for ourselves whenever we're in that situation, really.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, I was learning from that coach, Melanie Ann Layer, and she said, when you go around and you share your fears with people, it's an inner child wound, because when you were scared, you got soothed or you got comfort. And so part of like the adult you, or the inner child within your adult now, is going around seeking comfort in seeking sympathy and seeking like this sad damsel in distress energy, instead of like stepping in and being like, I'm a queen and I'm going to lead myself. And I had to go through that journey too. It was my old coach that taught me that. I was number one damsel in distress, number one victim. I was always sad. Somebody was always doing me wrong. I think in the first couple episodes of this, there were people actually doing me wrong, but like the energy that I approach it with now is always accountability.
Right.
Even if somebody is literally wrong and fucking me over, I'll be upset about it. But the second thought is, how did I contribute to this situation? How do I take accountability for this?
Yeah.
Because when you are in a victim mentality, there is no forward movement. You cannot go anywhere from there. You're stuck. You're literally stuck in mud. But when you say, how do I take accountability for this? Then you can move forward. Then there's growth. Then there's forward movement. Then you can continue to walk on a new path. But it's not until you take accountability for your actions.
That requires courage.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I feel like just even asking those questions is really scary for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, so how would you encourage someone like that to have courage to ask those questions?
I mean, if I'm thinking about my client right now, the reason she's my client is because she really needs my support. She really can't do it on her own right now, right? And I'm going to, you know, continue to support her on this journey. You know, I think a mixture of strong love, strong being someone that doesn't have boundaries. I have to show her what boundaries are.
Right.
I have to show it to her through my embodiment of the boundary. And then I also have to give her tools and give her practices that she can do on her own, that she's going to have to lead herself through. And I'm not going to hold her hand, because hand holding is also enabling.
100%. Yeah.
right? Like when I'm seeing an adult here that's like literally in their victim child, and I'm like, I'm not going to promote this type of behavior. I'm not.
Period. Yeah.
And so it's giving them tools, teaching them to lead themselves, teaching them how to meet their emotions, how to comfort themselves, how to be that person, right? And I know this because when I was in that place, if my coach at the time was to be like, "Oh, baby, Diana, it's okay," I don't think I would have ever stepped out and found my power. You
No,
know,
because they're continuing to like nurturing your
the wound,
the one. Yeah.
right? Of when I'm sad and when I'm scared, someone will comfort me. But hey, real life, no one is coming to comfort you until you show up to comfort you.
You came into this world by yourself. You're gonna live by yourself too.
Yeah.
So you should learn to live by yourself and to soothe yourself as well.
It's so
We need community and we love, but like you
Yeah.
gotta show up for yourself.
self-soothing is something that I don't think as adults understand how to do, because most of the soothing we really interpret is avoidance. Right. Self-soothing is actually facing it. Right. So my therapist actually, she posted something on Instagram and I really like this story. It was like, if you see somebody like their car broke down on the side of the road and you see them just sitting on the curb and they're just, what they look like they're waiting for somebody. You're like, oh, they're probably waiting for somebody. So they're probably good. So nobody stops to help that person. But if you see somebody pushing their car on the side of the road, more than likely people are going to stop their car and begin to help them push as well.
100%.
And her like metaphor of that story was like, only when you help yourself will people, the universe, God, show up and meet you and support you in helping yourself. And for me, that really, again, relates to, am I going to stay in victim mentality, or am I going to take accountability? And through taking accountability, then begin to take action to help get me into a better place, right? And I have a short story about being addicted to your smallness and being addicted to your suffering. And I think maybe I've told this story on a different platform, but it was during this pivotal moment when I was really getting out of my not good enough, unworthiness story, like lack and scarcity, like I'm incapable and unqualified for anything life, which was like a very real experience for me. And I just like read you a journal entry when I was like in that place where I was like, I'm scared, I don't believe in myself, and I remember I love that all of my most powerful, life-changing moments, yes, they are in ayahuasca ceremonies. Yes, I sit about 10 times a year. Yes, it is the most powerful healing medicine on this planet. Yes. But I was in an ayahuasca ceremony and I remember her saying to me, when are you going to let go of this? And it was like my unworthiness, right? When are you going to let go of it? Like she was sick of it, right? Like it had been like 4 years of me crying about it. I'm not good enough. And she's like, when are you going to let go of this? And I could feel her trying to like rip it from me. And I felt this internal part of me like gripping it. And it was almost like, this is all I know. And it was like a fear of like, all I know is this unworthiness. Now, if I let this go, who am I? It was the deep fear of like, well, what will become of me if this is my identity?
Your identity was going to be taken from you.
The identity
so now
of
you
not
have to
being
go
good
reveal,
enough.
go do something new.
Right.
Which is very scary for most.
So
including
scary.
you and I.
So scary.
Yeah.
Right? If your identity has been, I'm a victim, and somebody wants to then take that from you, you're like, well, I will disintegrate because I don't know anything else, right? Your ego is attached because your ego needs that identity in order to get what it needs, which is love, sympathy, right? Empathy. And so she was like, okay. And as I could feel the clenching in my body, I think my hands were even like gripping, like my nails were like gripping into my hands. And I was in so much pain in my body, because I was holding on to what essentially was like a poison.
Right.
It was like poisoning my spirit. And she's like, okay, you let me know when you're ready. And she like kind of sat back, and I just sat there and I was like squirming, and I'm like, ow, it hurts. I was like, okay, like, I don't know, maybe like I was like maybe like writhing around for maybe like 10 or another 25 minutes until finally I was like, okay, I think I'm ready, fine. Like, I'll let it go, you know? But it's like I was still terrified. And the purging of that was intense. I could feel like it was like a ripping. It was almost like energetically, if you can feel like if you like ripped my bones out of my body, right? Like it was that painful, and it was.
She was literally ripping the foundation of who you were.
Right.
So
like out of
like,
me.
Yeah.
Like ripping it from me, and all.
Take all the
over my
steel
body.
foundation from a building. Like what's gonna be left? Yeah.
Right. And I did feel like a pile of silly putty after that. I was like, who am I? I'm formless. You know? And I remember I like walked back into the room, and I like looked at my hand like this, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, and I blinked my eyes, and I kept looking around, and I was like, and I just like, it was almost like there was a reborn. I was like a part of me was born. And I was seeing almost like myself for the first time, but it like in a new energy, right? Like in this new essence of who I was. And it was like strange. It felt strange to be in my body. It felt strange. Like it felt foreign. Like I was like, who am I? What do I do here? What's going on? Like I was just, and that moment was so pivotal because I realized now in hindsight what had happened is that she stripped the unworthiness from me. And then I actually sat in the truth of who I was. And I had been so separated from that I actually had to acclimate and integrate into like who I really am. And from that point on, my life went like I expanded at an exponential rate. I started my business. I made 6 figures in my first year. I had a full client list. Like I just like went out and burst open into the world. And it was like, whoa, like this is what I had been missing out on. I was holding on to this identity of not being good enough and not being worthy because it was comfortable, because it was safe. But what was so scary was on the other side of that was being fucking great. And this is why I talk about it all the time. Like people fear their own greatness. You fear your own greatness. Marianne Williamson, right? Our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate, but that we are greater beyond our comprehension. And that is what people fear. People don't fear failure most of the time. They fear success. They fear success because when they have it, what if they lose it? If they have it, how do they maintain it? They fear receiving money because what if they blow it all? What if they start depending on it and then it's gone? So there is a subconscious acceptance of
that keeps you stuck.
Just enough.
Small. It keeps you
just
small
enough.
Stuck, yeah.
Subconscious acceptance of I'll just take a little bit. I'll just keep a little bit because I can maintain a little bit, right? I can maintain this smallness, this comfort. I can maintain this small amount of money, this small amount of abundance, this small amount of, I can maintain this, right? It's the energetic bandwidth that we're able to hold. And so when I really talk about growth, when I really talk about stretching, it's like stretching our ability to hold more of our own greatness, stretching our ability to hold more of our own frequency, so stretching our ability to hold more of our divine godliness. And that is you ascending into like the true essence of who you are. And that is so scary for people. And I get it. I get that it's hard to accept that you are the creator reincarnated into this form. You are a little nugget of this divine universe. And to accept that you're that special, that you have been literally created into this beautiful thing and you are meant to shine, like that is terrifying. I get it. But when I tell you, it is so nice. It's so nice on this side. Face that fear because it is even better once you overcome it, once you really transmute that fear and it forces you to rise to that occasion. That fear is meant to be the threshold for you to get to that place, right? And it's just the reason I do this work is because I walked that journey. I got here and I'm like, yo, do you guys not want to come? Because this is amazing over here. Like, don't, like, trust me. If you think that shitty theme park is good enough, wait till you get over here. Things are even better. I promise you. I promise you. And there's so many times, Gabriel, I swear, I sit and with people that want to sign up with me so bad. I could see it in their face. They want to pursue their art. They want to pursue their passions. They want to pursue their purpose. And the fear is like gripping them, and it's almost suffocating them. And it's heartbreaking to me. Like, sometimes I want to cry, because I'm like, I see you in your highest. I see you in what you're capable of on this earth. And the fact that you don't see it and you're willing to let it die, like that, like, I'm getting emotional because it's so sad, because I can feel when I was there. And I was so close to that point of letting it die, because what's actually dying is a piece of you. Yeah. A piece of your soul is dying when you don't embrace your greatness and who you are and what you're meant to be. And it's so sad. And that's why the healing is so important, because what that fear really is lack of safety. What are you really scared of? What are you really scared of? You're scared of failure. People seeing you fail. People judging you and criticizing you and failing. Embarrassment, disappointment. You fear that all your beliefs of not being good enough are true. And not only are that they're true, that other people will know that they're true. You fear the worst things that you think about yourself will be seen and recognized by others if you attempt this and you fail. So you will avoid that at all costs. That is the fear. That is the lack of safety in yourself. And for me, why this big theme of safety has been so prominent is because you won't do anything in your life until you feel safe in your body. You will fear criticism, judgment, and that to you, because of trauma, and deep inner child trauma that you experienced, that was death to you. When you were criticized as a child, that was death to you. When you were rejected from your family unit, that felt like death. When you were ostracized or you were made fun of in middle school or whatever, it felt like death. So now the idea of stepping out, that lack of safety in your mind, in your subconscious, in your body, in your nervous system, to go after your dreams, to step into your greatness, it feels like death. And it kind of is. It's the death of your spirit. And it's not until you really develop that safety within yourself, until you really learn how to show up and be that loving inner parent to that inner child and provide that safety and provide that nourishment, provide that encouragement, provide a safe place for you to exist in your freaking body and exist in your greatness in your life. Will you ever feel and be in contact with the divinity that runs through you? And that is why the healing is so important.
And that's why we love the healing process.
Yes.
That's why we're always learning about it.
Yes.
That's why we're always exploring. That's why we're always giving like tips and advice, and just going there with people and helping them how to heal. And something that I noted that was beautiful. I'm here like soaking all this information in as well.
I'm passionate about it, man. I can't.
And I think that sometimes a lot of people dismiss like emotional hurt, really, because it's not tangible. It's not like somebody hurt you physically at times. But what most people don't know is that in our brain, in your human brain, the same area when they do a scan that lights up when you experience physical pain is the same area that lights up when you experience emotional pain. So that never goes away. Yeah. So for people, sometimes they're like, oh, like they because we live in a society that we're very like productive and very driven, right? So a lot of times feelings are dismissed, but as a human, your humanity, the same area that is feeling that rejection, those like environmental like feelings, like your brain lets up in the same spot.
Yeah, it's the lack of emotional safety.
It's debilitating. So it's the same as if you were actually physically hurt.
Wow. Yeah. The pain, sometimes, and I've been abused in all ways, right? Physical, emotional, psychological. I would say the emotional and psychological actually, the hurt and trauma of that actually lasts longer than the physical abuse.
100%.
Because your body heals, but like that wound within your psyche is like there forever.
Because what is the whole purpose of your brain, right? The human brain is designed to keep you safe,
to protect you,
and to protect you in the future, to not let that happen again. So when it's emotional, it's something that your brain could actually try to predict, and that's why people have so many coping mechanisms. That's why, like, we develop all of these strategies of survival. That is just like, that's basically like our brain trying to protect you, because your brain doesn't want you to go through that again.
Right.
But that's why it's so important to feel that, to bring it to the light, to expose it, to get help, just to get that out of the way. So that way you can create whatever it is that you want to create with your life.
Right. Yes. And that is the difference and the discernment between what's uncomfortable and what's unsafe.
Yes.
Because your brain is telling you that it's unsafe to put yourself out there, to take a risk,
to be vulnerable, to be exposed.
But it's not unsafe. It's just uncomfortable. And once you can deal with that uncomfortability, you create the new neural pathway that you're like, oh, I'm still alive. I didn't die. I didn't disintegrate. I can do it again. And again and again and again and again.
That fear loses power, right?
Yes.
And it just loses like all of that hold that you had in yourself.
Oh, yeah. I was just sharing on my live earlier. I'm like, 4 years ago, if you told me that I had to hop on a video, I would have a panic attack. Literally, like, I remember my coach was like, we're going to make
you can take the camera away from her.
I'm like, hi, everyone. It's me.
And we are loving it.
I remember my coach like a couple years ago when I started, she's like, we're going to create a video. We're going to put it out. I was like, what? And I literally started crying. I started like shaking. My body started sweating. I had like a legit panic attack. And it was like I said, healing is in the action.
Yeah.
Do it once, do it again, do it again, do it again. Soon you create the new neural pathway. It is safe here for me to do this.
And also people give up too when like their healing journeys is because they try once or twice and it was like, oh, that didn't matter, or that didn't change, right?
Or it was uncomfortable.
Or it was uncomfortable, but like you gotta try like, I mean, I'm 36 years old, right? So it took 36 years of the same behavior to create who I am.
Right.
So if I want to change it, for me to write in a sentence once or twice, it's not going to change. I'm going to have to write that shit down like 1,000 times, until my brain gets it.
Yeah.
But I am willing to put the work. And I feel like the same way that I am, like you are, the people that truly change is because they are willing to go ahead and do it again and again and again. It's almost like going to the gym or working out, Like if you lift the weight once, like you're really not going to see a difference.
Right.
You got to lift that shit like 100 times in 1 week to actually see the result and the outcome from it.
Right. And that goes back again to how do you perceive quote unquote failure, right?
Right.
Because if someone shamed you for failing, or you got made fun of for failing as a child, or there was some trauma around you not being, not winning or getting something right. Now your trauma is like, failure is so traumatic. Failure is death. And I can't fail. And if I do, I'm never trying anything ever again.
So it's all about like really changing your relationship to failure, right? Failure is just a way that it didn't work out.
Opportunities for growth and an opportunity to approach it in a different way. And, anybody that's doing any... So apparently... Thomas Edison tried to...
It's so funny because I was actually thinking about him. Yes, I was really thinking
10,000 times to make the light bulb? Yeah, 10,000 attempts to make the light bulb. Exactly. So the reason we have ring lights and all this stuff right now is because Thomas Edison was like, I'm going to try 9,999 times and I'm going to try one more time.
That's it. That's it. Well, and that's why the story, like, Who Moved My Cheese, is so famous, right? And that's why you see it in all of the places. Like, sometimes we're so close to achieving that goal.
What is
to
the
achieving that.
story? And this episode with that story,
With
because
that
I don't
story,
know.
you don't know the story?
I want to hear it.
How I heard it, there is like a lot of versions, right? But it was actually one of the first stories that I vividly remember. I was probably like 10 years old. So there were these two little mouses. And there was literally, it was very visually, there was like a block of cheese, right? And then there was a prize at the very end of the block of cheese. And then the two little mouses started to go ahead and they started like eating up the cheese a little bit more. And they were trying to compete to see who was going to actually win the prize. That was at the very bottom. I think it was a diamond or something like that it was very expensive. So the bottom line is that they ate and dug, they ate and dug, they ate, and they did this for days and days and days and days. And the little mouse on the right gave up. He was like, I am never going to get here. I am never going to do it. He saw the other little mouse, and then the other one did not pay attention to the other one, and just he kept digging and digging and digging and digging, and eventually he got it.
He got the diamond.
He got the diamond. So the bottom of the story was that actually the mouse that gave up first was actually closest to the diamond. So the other one had to literally go around and around and around and then like come back up and found it.
Okay.
But the reason why the second one found it is because he never gave up.
Right.
He just kept trying and trying and trying and trying until he finally found it.
Yeah.
So the bottom of the story was never give up. And I know it seems like very silly.
No, it's
but that's
true.
been like still within me. Like I will never forget it. My mom printed it out. It was in black and white and you had like the cheese and the mouse and all of it. But when I'm going through a very hard time, right? I'm like, I'm going to be the little mouse that doesn't give up. Just keep trying a different way, right? Try a new way to approach it, expose it, bring in people that will be able to help you achieve the goal that you want, you know? And failure is just story. It's not real. You can bump into failure on the street. It doesn't really exist.
Right.
It's just how
It's how you're
actually
perceiving yourself.
perceived reality at that point, right?
Yeah.
But if we perceive it like it was just a way that didn't work out, now I have a chance to go ahead and try again and try something new to get to my goal. Like that's where the goal is at. That's where the richness is at.
Yeah, it's one foot in front of the other, babe. To be honest, I was thinking too, like I was in a pretty dark place this year, and sometimes you just got to put your head down and put one foot in front of the other and just keep going, right? Because eventually you're gonna get to a better place, but we can't stop. We can't stop. You stop, you stay in victim, you stay stuck, and that's it.
Right.
You know? So I hope that whoever's listening to this, if you're going through a tough time, just blinders on and one foot in front of the other, because very soon you're going to find yourself in a better place, but you got to keep committing. It's really moment by moment. How can I feel better in this moment, right? How can I reach for a better feeling thought in this moment? How can I feel 1% better today? Do I need to take a nap? Do I need to watch a funny movie? Do I need to just eat? Do I need to like be gentle with yourself, right? And then once you've gotten past that phase, begin to lead yourself in a new direction, because it's so easy to be there for our friends. It's so easy to give other people advice, but when it comes to ourselves, it's like, somebody help me. It's like we got to help ourselves.
Yeah.
We got to help ourselves. That's how you start being that loving inner parent to that inner child of yours, by leading yourself into the direction of where you want to go. And it really comes down to you. And then guess what? Once you start helping yourself, the universe is like, oh, let's sending some help to that person that's doing all that work on their own. Because it matches your vibration of, because when someone that helps himself is empowered, right? It's strength. And what do they attract? More components that will support them in their empowerment and their strength. So
100%.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're doing great. I'm super proud of you. You're an inspiration, and
Likewise, babe.
and so that's the thing. I think why this works is because I hold myself accountable, you hold yourself accountable, we hold ourselves accountable, right? And that's the kind of people you need in your life, and if we can be that for you, then happy to do it. We love you guys. Tap tap in with us on Instagram, on TikTok. We're always putting out really motivational, educational, inspirational content to just support you guys on this journey. You know, as you guys heard, like, this is my journey. I've walked this walk. I've been in the places you've been. I've walked the really dark shadows of my life, and it was hard, and I had to do it alone. And you don't have to do it alone, because we got you.
Right. I mean, and the reason why we're here is because we have been in those places of brokenness. We have been by ourselves. We have been like literally shattered, you know,
Broken,
and then as broken as you can be. And then we had to find a way to figure it out and start healing, to be in an environment that will be conducive to us succeeding and be healed.
Yeah.
And we want to share that with you.
Yeah.
So yes, keep coming back. We love you. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you got any value from this, you have any comments, please leave a review in the Apple Store, and we'll see you on the next episode.